Sorry. Um,
Call the roll.
in this call to order, please call the roll.
All right. Council President Corrine Stevenson,
Present.
Councilor Nathaniel Martin,
Present.
Vice President and Chair of this committee, Juanita Gowdy,
Present.
and we will recognize Councilor Smith.
Thank you.
We need to put the remarks from the public on here. I don't see any remarks.
That's at the bottom. On your committees, the remarks from the public go on the bottom.
I know it usually be on the top, but we'll settle for that. But I do want the public to see if they have any comments.
Yes, you can do that. This is a committee meeting, so you can move it around. Would anybody from the public like to comment on anything per Chairwoman Juanita Gowdy?
Good evening, Council.
Is the mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just asking if the mayor is on the meeting.
Hold on one moment, please.
Oh, Cal Irby was speaking.
Right. Mr.
Okay.
Irby, please state your name.
Kelvin Irby, 14802 Elm Avenue. Question on resolution 821. Are they covering the entire Civic Center parking lot for this amount? What is the length that they are trying to cover for this amount? How many bids were pushed forward on this for this amount? And then resolution, let's see, I'm sorry. 1121. I need some definition on this piece of equipment that they're trying to purchase for that amount. I need to know what is it supposed to be doing and why are we worried about that kind of equipment when we don't have a garage to handle that kind of equipment. Okay, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, can somebody call the financial director? I need him on the line. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Got a question.
You can go.
Okay, who's here from the administration? Who's here from the administration?
You have Ms. Hemmons on the line, sir.
So is the mayor here or mayor not here?
No, the mayor isn't online.
So is she filling in for the mayor?
If he's not here, if he doesn't arrive.
So
Also, Milran is supposed to be here.
we'll give them a few minutes. And where is the financial director?
I don't know, when we leave, we get off about 5 or so, sometimes a few minutes early. So I just made it in time. So maybe they're in transit.
We also will give him a couple minutes.
Ms. Gowdy?
Yes, I was giving everybody a few minutes because we definitely need the financial director.
Okay, I was going to say, if you wanted, you do have the people from Johnson Controls online. If you wanted, if you had your questions on resolution 09 and 10.
We can definitely start with him.
Yeah, you have two people online. That's Mr. Sims and Miss Jenny, who they both work at Johnson Controls.
Hi, Mrs. Gowdy.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello, how are you, Ms. Gowdy?
Hi. I just have a few questions for you guys.
Sure.
How did you hear about this bid?
We received a call-in, I believe, from the mayor regarding some questions about security and life safety systems over at the rec center. And it's quite possible, being that the city is a member of Sourcewell and we are the national contract holder for Sourcewell, that he could have been directed to us through that.
And what type of experience do you have? Have you did any work in our city before?
As far as directly for the city, I don't believe so. I'm not 100% certain. As far as businesses within the city, I'm sure that we do. The history of Johnson Controls is we were formerly the commercial division for ADT Security Services. Probably about 8 or 9 years ago, we went through a transition and became renamed as Tyco Integrated Security. And about 4 years ago, we merged with Johnson Controls, hence the name now. So from an organization standpoint, our experience has about 140 years of lineage. Myself personally, I've been with the organization now for 19 years.
Could you explain what took place in the walkthrough?
Oh, hold on.
Yes, we met with the mayor as well as a gentleman from Mac Installations, I believe it is, to take a look at assessing the access control, the security system, the camera system, and the fire alarm for the recreation center. So in the course of our walkthrough, what we do is we assess any current equipment to ascertain if there's viability to it. We look at what the potential risks are. We design systems that will definitely mitigate those risks, allow and control access on the doors that are designated to us. And then we design the fire alarm in accordance to both National Fire Code, Local Fire Code, and Ohio Builders Code.
I wanted to ask the mayor, one bid was 85,000, and that's you, correct?
Jenny, do we have a bid specific?
Let me check, Charlie. I'm gonna look and make sure. Can I get back to you, Mrs. Gowdy?
Yes.
I'm gonna look right now.
Because it was another bid that I see was for 25,000, and then the other one for 17,000. I just wonder, know why he choose you. Bid.
I know one of the benefits of working with Johnson Controls is holding that Sourcewell agreement. It awards.
I understand you can't answer that. I was looking for the mayor to answer that question. I understand.
Sorry, I bought some more chicken.
I don't want to get you caught up in that.
Fair enough. Understood.
And I noticed that your guys do have more experience than the others, but I just want to know why it's so high compared to the others. Is the mayor on?
I admitted him right now. He's joining right now. Chairwoman.
Tracy, I can't see who all won.
Mayor King's online right now.
Hello, hello. I'm just getting in. How's everybody? Good. Let me go grab it.
Miss Gowdy, the mayor's online now.
I don't have it on.
Johnson Control bid is $85,000 and I see $25,000 for another bid and $17,000 for another bid. Why did you go with the highest bid? Mayor?
Good afternoon, council. I'm sorry, did you ask me a question? Are you asking me a question? I had to go get the agenda. I got your agenda now.
Okay. Yeah, Johnson Control bid is $85,000 and I see another bid $25,000 and then I see another bid is $17,000. I wonder why are you going for the highest bid?
Thank you for your question. Milran is not on the call, community development. So what happens with these
I
RFQs?
believe Melran is on the call.
So what happens with these, Milran, if you're here, you can either chime in or correct me when I'm wrong. What happens with these RFQs and RFPs, they go out for bid, the specs are put in there, and then different contractors respond. So when you talk about the lowest and best bid, what you'll often find is that someone whose number is kind of out of whack from where the averages are is usually not bidding a comparable product or comparable work, right? Now, without having the documents in front of me and without talking to Melran, because mind you, I don't really get involved in the bidding process or in the scoring or looking at the bids. I'm not there at the bid openings. I don't weigh in on the bids. All I do is when Melran's department is finished, they'll come to me with a recommendation. But from this, what you're telling me, I would assume that Johnson Controls was the most close bidder to the specs in the bid, meaning product, installation, quality of work.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was on mute, Mayor.
Oh,
But
thank you.
I'd like to ask another question. Who determined the specs? Did
I
we
wrote
have
the
an engineer? Did
The
we have
specs
an
came from
engineer?
community
You
development.
see the chicken?
Well, my daddy bought me chicken too.
The specs came from community development.
Are you qualified to give the specs?
Yes.
Doesn't people usually hire an engineer?
They can, but we did. We used the OHM, and it was OHM and myself who developed the specs for this project.
That's what I needed to know. I just wanted him to share how his walkthrough went. You can carry on.
As far as the walkthrough, we had several walkthroughs. All of that was.
Gentleman from Johnson.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So we, as a gentleman was saying, we had multiple walkthroughs so that we could come out and finalize the system design for the components. The initial walkthrough is just to get an overall general lay of the land, what the facility looks like, what are the points of entry, what are the current systems, and what needs to be updated and added. I believe that the last walkthrough that we conducted was to verify incompatibility and non-working order of the fire alarm that is currently in the location. Determined that there was some significant issues with the current system, and that was just to make sure that the city had confidence in moving forward with a newly designed and installed system.
Okay, and what else do your company specialize in?
Johnson Controls is primarily derived from the merger of 3 different divisions. When the merger came through, it brought in Johnson Controls, which is typically an HVAC and a building automation company. It brought in Simplex Grinnell, which is typically focused on sprinkler and suppression systems. And it brought in Tyco Integrated Security, which is us. We specialize in fire alarms, camera systems, burglary alarms, and access control, as well as various other supportive projects that go along the lines with security and life safety, such as shooter detection, intercom, various other supportive elements.
Now, Mel Warren, this is to you. Did OMI did the specs with you?
OHM, yes.
So where's the paperwork at what they determined?
I emailed all that to you.
I didn't see that one.
Yes, it's in the first email response that's in there, and it's under estimate.
Oh, let me see if I can find it. Does any of my colleagues have any questions?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Martin.
Okay,
We can hear you.
my question is to Mayor Ron Leach. This particular corporation, Johnson Control, I guess there were, how many bids for this particular, for resolution 0821?
Hold on, let me pull that out.
1021.
No, I'm looking at, yeah, 1021. Sorry.
For which part are we talking about? Just the fire and security? There were 3 bids.
Right.
Roof's construction bid 17,450. 3D Moore bid 25,500. Johnson Controls bid was 85,355.
So my question is, and maybe they do great work. What separated them from the lower bid, the 2 entities that bid and lower? What quality or expertise did they bring that made you decide to go with this particular corporation?
So when we looked at the bids, I brought each individual contractor in to discuss their bids. And the other 2 were not as qualified in providing that service to a level that the city needed them to do. So both of them basically rescinded their bid because they didn't truly understand the spec at the time. And Johnson Controls fully bid everything that we needed and wanted done.
So you feel comfortable, very comfortable with Johnson Control?
Very much so. Since that time, we've worked with Johnson Controls and did a number of walkthroughs afterwards, trying to refine the bid and making sure that everything works. As an example, we had the fire marshal get an independent company to come out to test the fire alarm system to make sure if it was operable and we're not just replacing something just to replace it.
Okay, I have a question. Okay.
Okay,
Slow down.
Melron, my concern is this, I rode past there the other day, and it seemed like, every other month or something, the windows and doors are broken. I don't know, people breaking in the Civic Center or whatever. So if they install and do what they need to do, will there be an alarm if somebody's breaking the windows or breaking the front door of the Civic Center? Because I know when I rode past there the other day, I looked in there and saw two big wooden boards on the front door. So is this to help with this problem or what?
Yes, we're gonna have security cameras, everything installed to make sure that the facility is safe and that our investment is protected. So there'll be high resolution cameras installed on the property. So if anybody vandalizes it, we'll be able to make sure that we can identify them.
All right, so Johnson, is this the only thing they're doing for the city?
No, we're looking at them also installing the doors.
Okay, and how much was that contract?
That contract is gonna be around, I believe,
That's later on in the agenda.
yes, that's gonna come up later, Councilman.
Okay,
So, make a long story short, we feel very comfortable with Johnson Control. That we feel that they can do what we need for them to do.
Yes.
Even though they-
And they are a Sourcewell contractor as well. They bid on the project, but they're also a Sourcewell contractor, meaning that we don't even have to enter into a bid with using them because they have a government standard price that will be furnished across the board in the state of Ohio. So them being Sourcewell and them also bidding helps us to make sure that we get the best price that is going to be for us to install this fire and security and even the doors.
Okay, my last question, and I'll yield is, how is there a warranty or on the work or guarantee? Can the young man, Mr. Sims, articulate that to me, please?
Yes, under the Sourcewell agreement, you have a 1-year warranty at no cost. And then beyond that, there's a maintenance plan that is applied to it where Johnson Control will be your turnkey provider. Not only will we project manage the installation, but we will also handle all the monitoring for you in our own facilities, as well as service the system for the life of it with our own technicians. So you'll be able to rely on us for every aspect of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for the question.
Melron, this is for you again. You said the other two rescinded their bids, and shouldn't that go out for 2 more other bids to be taking the other 2 places?
No, not in this instance, because in order, when it comes to procurement through HUD, you have to make sure that you at least have 2 bids. So we did have the 2 bids. But then, as I just had stated, Johnson Control is a Sourcewell contractor as well. So a bid can be awarded to them without it even going out to bid, because they provide a already standard pricing that the government has accepted.
Well, I'm definitely going by our charter, and our charter tell us it got to come before council. It need bids, so this is what I'm following, our charter.
So that's what it's going through, it's going right now, that's what we're doing, we're bringing it before council.
But you telling us that the other 2 have rescinded.
Their bid is there, but they understood, they knew they couldn't deliver on what we needed and what the specs said. But the bid was in place. Bid
But
is in
they
place.
rescinded their bids, you need to replace them with 2 more bids.
I don't understand.
That's what I would think. That's what I would think.
No, that's not a policy. That's not how it would go with HUD. HUD just wants to make sure there was a fair and open process.
We're gonna read 0921. Clerk,
Sorry, I was on mute. Resolution number 0921, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the bid of and contract with Johnson Controls, 6650 West Snowville Road, Suites K&L, Rexville, Ohio, 44141, in the amount of $61,475.25 for the purchase and installation of security doors in and around the Martin Luther King Civic Center, 14801 Shaw Avenue, East Cleveland, Ohio, 44112, utilizing proceeds from the Community Development Block Grant CARES Act funds.
Counselor Gowdy.
yes, I have a question, to see what experience does this company have to put in security doors? And Madam President, you may go.
Well, my concern with all of this is that the city has a 90-day budget. And in that 90-day budget, there's no money to do this. So this count, and I don't have the hard copies of the resolutions or any of this stuff in front of me. And so I'm sort of at a loss as to what the bids look like and what this resolution entails. And that's my take on it. And putting it up on here is not going to help me. I need hard documents.
I'm just going to ask, I'm going to ask the mayor. I'm going to ask Charles. Is you here?
I'm sorry, you dropped out for a quick moment. What was that?
Charles, are you here?
Yes, I am.
I'm recognizing the financial director. Charles, Ion, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I'm just asking a question. Who budget is you? Who budget are you operating out of? Is it the mayor veto or is it the budget of the
So Charles, if you allow me to jump in on this one. So I don't, Council Vice President, with all due respect, I don't think that's a question.
Mayor, I will not allow
if I can be recognized, if I can be recognized.
Have not been recognized, no, not right now. You're not recognized. He's definitely got to answer the financial question. He's licensed and he's bonded for it, and we need to know. You are not the financial director.
All due respect, Vice President Council, that is the mayor.
I just wanted to know what budget are you operating out of? That's not the mayor seat, that's your seat, and you need to be, you know what's going on with this.
Council Vice President.
Deputy is bonded to ask financial questions.
If I may, Council Vice President.
1 second, Mayor. Charles, I need you to speak.
This is not the Finance Committee.
Have to be a financial committee. This is just a council asking the question, what budget is he operating out of?
City budget.
Is it the line item veto budget?
It's the city's budget.
Mayor, you have been recognized. You can go.
Thank you, Council Vice President. With all due respect to all the councilors and everyone on the phone, this meeting is about contracts and property. We are trying to rehabilitate the city and different buildings in the city. The contract that we have in front of us that we're questioning is from Johnson Controls. I would encourage counselors to look at their internet, just look up Johnson Controls. Just Google it. You'll see that they're a well-respected company. They can handle everything that we are trying to award them. So the monies right? Come after the award. We need to have the award in place to then move forward with the work and with the letting of the contracts. So that's where we're at with this. We're just trying to follow the proper rules per the charter, as you alluded to, Council Vice President. That's why we are here in front of you, following the charter.
Thank
And we
you,
ask that
Mayor,
you
but
follow the charter as well.
Thank you, Mayor. The president asked a question and she said that we don't have it in our budget. I was asked, where is the money coming from?
This is not a budget question. This is a pass the legislation request. That's what this is about, passing the requested resolution that's in front of you.
Okay,
This comes out, the CDBG comes out of the federal money. If that's where you're wondering where the money's coming from, it's coming out of the federal money for the CARES Act.
Okay, Johnson.
But there's no money appropriated.
So it's not about appropriations. First, you got to pass this thing.
That's not true, Mayor King. That is not true.
That is
You
very
cannot
much
pass
true.
a resolution without the money being there.
So you can't sign the contract without the money.
Well, we've been signing them without the money, so.
Now you're telling me what I'm doing.
Well, I know what you're doing, and I know that this is not right. I know that the money is not
right. Please explain to me.
If this resolution is approved, then the city is responsible to move the money to pay for these items, sir. You cannot twist this and turn it to make it be what it is not.
So
you have to appropriate the money.
Mayor,
Mr. Milran, would you kindly explain awarding a contract versus actually going into agreement to the contract?
Hold on.
We had a law director on here.
Can I make a comment?
You will get your chance to talk. Excuse me. Here, and I runs this meeting, not you, Mayor. Mayor, now you got to be civilized now. You can talk now.
I think that the mayor
If I can make a comment. Go ahead.
Ms. Simmons, you is not recognized.
I was just asking. I'll take my
The
turn.
Chair recognize Melvin Leach.
Yes, thank you. Whenever we enter into agreements, we have the contract drafted under HUD regulations and rules. As an example, we don't have that contract signed until the money is actually there. We can do the bidding process and go through everything, but we don't sign the contract and enter it and put all the dates on it until we have the money appropriated. And then, because once that's signed, we get a requisition and we give it to finance. Finance then issues a PO number, and that's when we can enter to a notice to proceed.
Thank you, Melran.
Thank you, Milran. Thank you, Milran.
Thank you, Melvin.
You have a mouth.
President again, so she can hear it.
Vice President.
Madam President, I
Gowdy,
recognize you.
there are definite amounts of money listed on this resolution that would have to be transferred before you could enter into any contract. That is correct. However, if this body outside of HUD's regulation passes a resolution, that money should already be sitting in the account to be paid out. And right now, you don't have the money to do this.
The chair recognizes Council.
That's one person's view.
Thank you very much for recognizing me. I really appreciate it. And as we get a little bit closer to where we need to be, the dollars are actually in the bank.
I don't think that was the question.
Are you there, Councilman Austin?
Appropriate, you have to have some purchase request or a contract of some sort so you'll know what to appropriate. You don't appropriate and then assign the action. You assign the action and then we appropriate. So this is an opportunity through legislation to identify what the city would like to do. And it's up to us to take a look into our accounts and designate or what we call appropriate where those dollars should be spent if we are indeed of supporting this action. You can't appropriate prior to knowing what you want to spend the money on. This is the city letting us know as a council what they want to spend money on. There's no fight necessary. We take it under advisement, we make a vote, and we keep it moving. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Thank you, Mr. Councilman Austin.
Madam Chair.
The chair recognized Willie Hemmings.
Thank you. So all of the bids are proposals to be presented to the council so that when, and I'm saying almost no, if the money is ever appropriated so that the city operations can resume, then the money, the contracts can be signed. Melran made an excellent narrative in terms of the chronology of things. This is to accept the bid and contract with Johnson Controls or whatever contractor is up. Now, if there's no sense in going on with anything, if the viewpoint shared by our Madam President is going to be adopted, we might as well just stop the meeting now and go home. Well, I'm already at home, but I can finish my dessert.
That's why I called on Charles. Because I wonder why is he here if the mayor keep instructing him not to answer.
Madam Chair of this meeting, if that is the position of the other two members of the committee, then there's no sense in moving forward until the permanent appropriations budget is passed. If that's going to be the perspective that's adopted.
We trying to make a position and
are the other
we
two
have not made no position on this yet, Willa.
Okay, well, I was just wondering. I mean, if the other two are going to have the same perspective, I'm saying this is a fruitless meeting.
But it's really not up to you to determine that, Willa.
I'm just asking a question. Are you guys going to go along with the president? And so then we can stop the meeting.
I think
really
you're out of
too
order,
early for
Willie
all
Hammond,
that.
as usual.
It's really too early for all that.
I don't want to waste your time or mine.
That's why we discussing it now. And I need Charles to speak to see which is he's getting ready to operate out of.
Well, we're pre-operational at this point. This is just a resolution to move forward when and if the money ever becomes available. Okay, this is more like a promise. Like my daughter's got a promise ring. I don't know if they'll ever get married, but this was a promise. Okay, this isn't marriage.
Okay, we're gonna resolute 0821. 20821.
One moment, let me go scroll up. Resolution number 0821, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the bid of and contract with 3D Moore, 2150 Noble, East Cleveland, Ohio, 44112 in the amount of $160,225 for the paving of the Martin Luther King Civic Center parking lot, 14801 Shaw Avenue, East Cleveland, Ohio, 44112, utilizing proceeds from the Community Development Block Grant CARES Act funds.
Mr. Moore, how it's going? And Tracy, and I cannot see the people that's actually is in the meeting.
We can't see you either.
You have to adjust it on your end. I have it up on mine.
Just push where it says participants.
Right. I don't see Mr. Moore on, but I do see Ms. Stover.
Yes, Mr. Moore is here with council. We're on together.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, because that's what I'm trying to find
Yeah.
out.
Yep, that's us.
Mr. Moore, how it's going?
Going well. How you doing?
All right, who's this lady that's with you?
Was this lady?
Attorney Jasmine Stover. We met at our last meeting. I'm on with Mr. Moore as legal counsel.
Attorney, this is not a trial, but I would like Mr. Moore to speak, to ask some questions.
Go ahead. If there's a question posed, we'll answer it.
I want to know, what experience do you have with this project?
Who am I speaking with?
With paving parking lot?
I said, who am I speaking with? Who asked me the question?
President?
This is the chairwoman of the committee, Ms.
Okay.
Juanita Gowdy, Mr.
Yeah.
Moore.
Vice President?
Oh, okay. So to answer your question, Ms. Gowdy, my company, I serve as a general contractor, and you know, from building new construction to tearing down homes to renovation to parking lots, asphalt, concrete, you name it, we do it all. So we've been in business over a dozen years, and so that's it.
I wanted to know, where will you be dumping that old asphalt?
Where would I dump it?
Yes.
At a qualified landfill.
Will you be doing the entire parking lot or just patches?
Well, actually, we got about 75,000 square feet. So, you know, actually, we'll be removing the damaged area of the asphalt, leveling things and leveling it and reinstalling.
So you won't be doing a new complete parking lot?
Not the entire parking lot, but the majority of the parking lot.
For 160
Which
is
is
high.
About 75,000 square feet of the parking lot.
160.
Madam Vice President, can I ask a
so
question?
high to be patching.
Madam
Did
Vice
you
President, can I
turn
ask
in
a
your
question?
scope of work?
I'm sorry?
Did you turn in your scope of work?
Well, actually, to be exact, I'll be removing.
Hello?
Can I ask a question?
Hold on, he's talking. I
Okay.
just want to hear from him.
I couldn't hear him.
Mr. Moore, are you there? I'll give him a couple minutes to get back on.
It looks like we lost him.
Council Vice President, this is Melron Leach.
How is it going, Mr. Moore, to come back? And if not, we're going to move on.
Council Vice President,
Yes.
I just sent you and members of council rendering with a highlighted area of what is to be paid at MLK.
It definitely seemed kind of late for that.
Hello?
Ms. Stover's back online, Chairwoman Gowdy.
Our apologies, the link went out. Sorry about that.
Is Mr. Moore back?
We
Yes,
are
I am.
here, yes.
I'm going to ask Councilman Martin, do he have any questions?
Are you there, sir? Mr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
okay, you said that you're gonna do 75,000 square feet of work in terms of paving, the Civic Center?
Yes, sir.
What is that? It's a pretty big parking lot with a playground in the rear. What is it, about 75 or 80% of the parking lot? Can you articulate, sir?
Close to, sir.
Okay. We have been dealing with the Civic Center, Mr. Moore, for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I articulated, if you heard with the other entity that they break the windows, they've been breaking the windows and breaking in and out of there. But the parking lot definitely needs to be paved. And you have experience in this field and we can count on you to do great work. Is that right, Mr. Moore?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said that you seem to have experience and we count on you to do good work in terms of paving the parking lot, the 75,000 square feet.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's basically what I needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair
Can I make a
recognizes
note?
Councilman Austin.
How you doing? This is Councilman Austin, and I was taking a look at what it costs to actually pave a parking lot, and about between 3 and 6. So the estimate cost be up to $300,000, $4 per square foot was the average. So we're the average surface. So it wouldn't.
Councilman Austin, sorry to interrupt, but we can't hear you. You're going in and out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let me, can you hear me better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, great. What I was saying is that take a look at the average cost of having a parking lot resurfaced, which is between $3 and $6 per square foot. And at 75,000 square feet, that's $300,000. And if we're getting an offer for someone to come in because they may appreciate the city at $180,000, based on the cost, the average cost, we are, I don't know if I'm going to say the best value, but that is a offer that is much less than the market average for per square foot. So if
Absolutely.
if we take a look, we may have to consider the value and or benefit of having somebody that actually cares about the city come in and do the work. And I had one question about, after about a year, it's going to require a seal coat. Is the seal coat for 12 months in your estimate?
Can you speak? No.
Okay, so if at the 12-month mark, you should be out there recoating and resealing to make sure that all the cracks, crevices, and the water intrusion is prevented. What is the plan for that? And are you offering the city an opportunity to get a maintenance plan to patch those? Because oftentimes when you do it the first time, there's always something that's going to settle. There's going to be a pit, and once there's a pit, there's a puddle there. And after the puddle becomes a pothole, then there's a whole nother issue. We got to come back within a few years to get it taken care of. Is there any way that we can consider having I know there may be an additional cost, but it's to our benefit to have the parking lot sealed within a reasonable amount of time after? And what is your recommended amount of time, and what's the cost to have that parking lot sealed to make sure it lasts us 10 years instead of 2 years?
Well, that's totally on the city, and I would definitely consider it, depending on what the city wants or would like.
Right, but we don't want to, like I said, we're trying to prevent having to spend, the money before we should have to spend it. So I know what's your, is there a maintenance issue that you've addressed in your contract or in your proposal?
Sorry, can you repeat that for me? I'm sorry.
I was asking, because I know that when you have a large area like that, filled, and there's a window, which you shouldn't have the sealant applied. So after that window expires, is there a plan to come back and actually seal the newly resurfaced area?
This
I'll tell you
question
this,
is
we can discuss that, you know. I
Okay,
can
well,
discuss
I
that.
would,
Mhm.
I would like to, and I do want to make sure that
we can
we
discuss it
we
now.
understand there's a benefit. Huh? I couldn't hear.
If he want to talk about
There's
it
some
now,
benefit. Okay, I just want to make sure we're getting the best value, not just that we don't just want the lowest price. We want the best value. And there is some service that's going to be required after the area is resurfaced. And I want to make sure that we have addressed those services. And so we don't have to call you back and say, there's a hole over here, there's a patch. I want it to be a planned, deliberate effort to come back and make sure that the parking lot is properly sealed so it lasts multiple years. And thank you, that's all I have.
more question. I just want to ask Mr. Moore. I really want Nate to ask a question, and then I will ask another question.
Mr. Morris, part of your contract, when you do the striping for the parking spaces in the, after it's paid?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And this question is to Mr. Moore. Do you meet all the requirements? I know, to receive HUD funding.
Yes, I do.
There will be nothing to stop you from receiving HUD funding.
Correct. Meets all the requirements.
I'm going to call on Councilor Martin to read all the HUD requirements. 1 second.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, Mr. Martin.
Okay, this document it says debarments. I'll just read the highlighted part. It says a debarment sanction means that an individual, organization, and its affiliates are excluded from conducting business with any federal agency government-wide, depending upon the outcome of an investigation of legal proceeding. The suspension may lead to debarment. Debarment is the most serious compliance sanction and is generally imposed for a 3-year period. However, debarment can be imposed for a longer period of time if the debarring official determines this action is necessary to protect the public interest. If a suspension precedes a debarment, then a suspension period is considered in determining the total length of time that debarment is imposed. What does HUD sanctions? And then it's landlords, loan officers, and all like that. Then it says what are the causes for debarment? Debarment is imposed for criminal and or serious HUD program violations, which include use of false documents to originate FHA insured mortgages, diversion of project assets, embezzlement, theft, and forgery, false statements and false claims, and bribery. HUD, thank you.
And I would just ask him before we go forward, have you been convicted of any of that? Any of those?
Yeah, this is Attorney Stover on behalf of 3D Moore. HUD maintains a list of contractors that have been disbarred. It's the city's obligation to check that list for disbarment. I can represent to you right now that 3D Moore nor Mr. Moore are listed as being on disbarred, but that is the city's obligation. So you may want to look to the administration to confirm that they've met that they've done their due diligence in doing that search on 3D Moore and any other contractor.
Willie Hemmings, did you check it out? Or the mayor, did you check this out?
I have had discussions with an assistant U.S. Attorney General. And that any problem seems to be allayed. I can't go into it any further, but as far as looking at a debarment list specifically, no, I did not. But I have had discussions with the U.S. Attorney, and at this point, any such problems that might have or might arise in terms of a debarment do not seem to be present.
But Willie Hemmings, this is on record now. You not
Yeah.
out our contractor background.
Pardon?
You is not checking out the contractor background?
The contractor background? No, that's part of the bidding
Are you
process.
vetting them?
Council Vice President.
Mr. Leach, you
Government has information on it.
For every contractor that wins a bid.
Mr. Leach, you have not been recognized, sir.
Okay.
Law Director, please finish.
Okay, I would defer my time to Mr. Leach, who is in intimate relationships with the HUD people down in Columbus. He's in regular communication with them.
I would like the attorney to answer this since he got one. Do you have any restitution to the federal government?
I'm sorry, are you directing that question to myself, Attorney Stover, or to your law director?
To your client.
Okay, what's the question?
Do he have any restitution to the federal government?
They got to do it.
Yeah, so one, that's not at issue here, and it's not related to debarment under the HUD rules. So if you have a question that's related to the contract, the resolution that you're looking
for. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Then we will answer that. But other than that, we'll decline to answer any questions that are unrelated. I believe Mr. Leach, who's involved in the bidding process, as your law director stated, handles that process of looking up SAMs and debarment. So if you'd allow them to answer, I think you'll get the actual answer to your question related to whether or not he's debarred under any HUD rules.
Okay, so before I make a decision right now, ma'am, I'm just going to make sure that he is qualified to do this because
right. And we've answered that question.
Because I really did check the court records and it looked like he's being garnished.
Does a garnishment mean that someone cannot bid on a contract? Do you have that in a rule somewhere? No, he's not debarred. He's not on any list for debarment under HUD rules or under SAM. Qualified to perform the work.
It's the conflict of interest, like the law director Willie Hemmings would say.
What would be a conflict of interest?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, there's no conflict of interest here. Mr. Moore is represented by counsel as it relates to anything within the federal court. He's met those obligations. If you check the docket, you see that he met those obligations. You'll also see that a release of that garnishment has been filed by the federal prosecutor. So again, that issue does not affect his ability to operate as a contractor under any HUD rule. It's an ancillary issue that's being brought up by this committee, and we're not going to answer any further questions on it.
But it really do look like the Fed's been actually taking money for his restitution. And
again, that is an ancillary issue that has nothing to do with whether or not he is qualified to perform this work under the HUD guidelines. Now, if there is a HUD guideline that you are aware of that you would like to read to us related to garnishments of any contractor, I'll happy to answer the question. Until then, my client is not answering any further questions related to any garnishment in any court, whether it be the federal court or Cuyahoga County. Stick to the HUD guidelines. That's the question.
It's the HUD guidelines to check the background.
HUD has a debarment list. Anyone from the administration, is 3D Moore or Darryl Moore listed on that debarment list? Can someone answer that question?
he owed $2 million to the city. The city, to the feds. The city do not need to pay off his restitution.
The city's not
That's
paying
it.
off his restitution. The city is paying 3D more for work that it has performed for the city. If
When
the
we
city
pay
wants to
him,
take,
the
if the city
government
wants to
is
take the position that it wants to discriminate against contractors based on background, please do so right now, and we'll take appropriate action. However, as we've stated before, he meets all requirements under the HUD guidelines. Anything outside of that is not your concern.
Okay, have a nice day, ma'am.
You as well.
We're going to keep this in committee. Let's move on to the last piece of legislation.
Resolution 1121, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into lease or purchase agreements for the acquisition of a 2 EPC 7,000 pound capacity 80-volt electric 4-wheel pneumatic tire lift truck compact in the amount of $70,572.08, utilizing general fund monies for use by the service department.
Okay, I support this. The problem is where the money coming from. I really do support this, but we need to know where the money coming from.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, Councilman Austin, you can make a comment.
Thank you very much. I did look at this piece of equipment and it'll be phenomenal. And I also support it. And I also support taking a look at the permanent appropriation legislation that's been sitting around for a couple of months. And a lot of the things that we're concerned about today can be easily resolved with a specific action to approve the permanent appropriation and the transfer to make the lines that have deficits currently no longer have deficit, and we can actually see where our dollars are and make better decisions financially once we got those, at least those two pieces of actions completed, although the fiscal commission requires three pieces of legislation from the council to get us back on the right track so we can continue our path towards getting out of fiscal emergency. And on behalf of Mr. 3D Moore, who I've never seen in my life and still haven't seen him, I think it'd be prudent for us to, or you in the committee, if you will, to tell him specifically as to what the delay would be to prevent the modest offer to resurface the MLK, to stop that bid from going forward and getting out of committee and allowing us to get the MLK Civic Center, which is like a good hub for our children to be safe once this coronavirus is over, so they have a safe place to go and enjoy after school activities. Thank you very much. And please be specific so we'll know what we're asking of him so he can, meet those needs and we can move forward. Thank you.
Council President, okay, Councilman Martin.
Yeah, can you articulate what is a 80-volt electric wheel pneumatic tire lift truck, and articulate what it is and what it does, because I'm not sure what it is, what it does, please.
For a couple of months, you would take from planting season.
Councilman Austin, could you please talk about that?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, I can. That is a piece of equipment that will allow us to move large pieces of equipment without having the burden of, more gasoline. That's why it's electric. We can move a truck, a car. We can move another piece of equipment, lift up the bucket truck so we can change the tire. So that piece of equipment does a lot of cool things that a person with a small jack cannot do. Move pallets as necessary. We can help the person that come deliver the food from the food bank actually download the truck. Instead of having 19 or 20 guys out there downloading one box at a time, we can actually go out there with a pallet jack, push the pallet jack up under the pallet, move it to where it needs to go, and execute our food distribution program much more effectively if we had the material handling equipment to do so. This is a piece of equipment that can help us in that effort also.
Thank you, Councilman Austin. I really do appreciate that. Any more questions? I would like to move this to the agenda review. Nate, are you in favor?
I'm in favor, so we're moving 1121 to the agenda. My other question, and what are we doing with 0821?
It need to stay in the committee.
Okay, so that the only thing we're moving forward is 1121, is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Attorney Stover here, I have a question.
No, you have not been recognized.
I know I'm asking to be recognized, ma'am.
Mayor King, you can go. The mayor had his hand up.
I will yield to the attorney, please. Thank you, Council Vice President.
May I be recognized now, Council Vice President?
Yes, you are recognized.
Thank you. As it relates to 0821, my question on 3D More is the city requesting a background check on that company or its principal, Daryl Moore, that is different than what it does for other contractors?
I will revert this to the law department.
I would say, I don't know what is, I would like to know.
Well, let me jump in here, Willa.
Okay.
So with all due respect, Ms. Stover, attorney, the city, I'm sorry, Council Vice President.
Hammond?
Okay. Oh, yes. I
So
just want to know.
Willa.
Yes.
So Council Vice President, now be recognized.
Let Ms. Hammond finish talking, please, and you'll get a turn. I promise you will get a turn.
I just don't know the basis for not allowing 821 to go forward. That way I could better answer the question. Is there any specific qualifications, despite what has been presented by Melran Leach, after a thorough vetting of all of these bidders and potential contractors? Is there any specific criteria that the contractor does not meet? I just didn't know what the basis for remaining in committee was. And that way I could answer the attorney's question.
Well, I'm going to refer this to Heather. Heather, are you on? From the law department.
No, Heather's not on.
What question are you referring? What is the question? Is that the Ms. Stover?
The lawyer had the question, and I thought that you was listening.
I was listening. I just don't know what basis of criteria or differentiation the committee, it's not the city, it's this committee is using in order to deprive the contractor of moving.
That was not her question. That was not her question.
So that is the correct answer. So the city and the administration, I'm sorry, Council Vice President. I'm sorry.
So we're not using any criteria. The city is not using any discriminatory.
Council Vice President, can I be recognized, please?
Okay, Ms. Hemmons, answer your question, and the mayor, you can go.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Attorney Stover, the administration has done its due diligence in regards to this rehabilitation and moving the city forward, moving the MLK forward, expending the CARES Act dollars. We've done our due diligence. The issue now is in the legislative branch of government, who has to weigh in on this. So I want to make that clear distinction so that when we talk about this further, the administration has done its due diligence, has moved it forward. We are ready to continue to move it forward. It is now in council's purview. And Willa just alluded to that. So thank you, Willa.
Council Vice President, Attorney Stover, may I be recognized again?
Yes, you are recognized.
Thank you. So there were questions regarding the qualifications of 3D Moore and its principal, Daryl Moore. And it's my understanding that the process that the city goes through in looking at contractors and whether or not they meet HUD qualifications are that they look to see if any contractor is debarred, and they look to see if any contractor is on the SAMS list. So I think to break this down, my question is, did the city do that as it relates to 3D Moore and its principal, Daryl Moore? And did they find that 3D Moore or its principal were debarred or on the SAMS list?
Ms. Hammond said that she did not do that, so you can talk to Ms. Hammond and ask her that question.
No. I referred it to Melran Leach. That is his job to look at that. So I would defer to Melran Leach to answer that. Melran?
Did someone in the city
No,
do it?
Ms. Hammond, you are the law director. Talk to the lawyer.
I already said prior to Mr. Moore getting a lawyer, I had conversations with the USA attorney and those particular concerns were not found.
But I mean, specifically, can whoever handles the bidding, I guess that is Mr. Leach, can someone speak to the vetting that the city does as it relates to contractors? And I want to know, was that done for 3D Moore and Daryl Moore, whoever is responsible for that in the city?
If this is Melvin Leach, if
Can I make a comment?
This is so much confusion. We're gonna move on. Definitely gonna move on.
Well, I'm sorry,
Clerk,
Yes, ma'am.
before we move on, can my client please be heard on these issues? Because I think this was brought up and there was significant discussion.
ma'am,
on it.
we already discussed.
No one's answered whether or not you guys did your due diligence.
She said that she did not know when she.
I said that there were no concerns found when I had a
Out of order. Now you
review.
have your chance to talk now.
When I had a review with the USA
We're gonna
attorney.
move on. We don't have time. We're gonna move on.
And
Can I make a
Melran
comment?
knows that. Melran?
Yes, if I could be recognized.
You have not been recognized, Melron.
Can
Ms.
he be recognized? He seems like the appropriate person to answer the question.
Councilman Austin, you can speak.
Thank you. Madam Gowdy, I have one quick note. I think this may be a matter of procedural opportunity to kind of educate us a little bit. I do remember Mr. Melran Leach telling us what the process was for identifying persons that have been debarred, as well as Attorney Stover. So if you would be so kind as to allow me to regurgitate what I understood, and somebody let me know if I'm off track. There have been two places where it's a person that have had an error in judgment and were found liable and debarred or removed from applying for government contracts in the future. And to make a long story short, 3D Moore had not been barred from government contracts in the future. And I would like to see if that is the only thing that is holding up this process, that we acknowledge that at this point and allow this process to move forward so our children may have a safe place to go once school starts back, which it will, according to the governor, and have a safe place to go until such time that they can be properly supervised by their parents and, you know, allow the activities that make them safe in one location where we can find them, to be a safe place for them to travel from point A to point B. So I did understand that there've been some checks, and he did not qualify for those outstanding checks that would disqualify him from applying. And based on the bid that he submitted, which was well below the national average, it seemed like it may be a win for the city. And I asked that we put the clause in there to ask them to come back and make sure that the space, if approved, is properly sealed so it'll last a whole lot longer. So Madam Gowdy, if you would be so kind as to, verify those two requirements, and if they've been met, let's not based on unnecessary delay this piece of legislation. Thank you very much.
Mr. Councilman Austin, I want to thank you for your time. Council President, do you have anything that you would like to say?
What I would like to say is just that the money for this is not there. That's it.
Charles, could you tell us where's the money, who's going to be responsible for the money being here?
Councilor Gallia, there's nothing more I need to add to this. I think everybody has said, from the mayor to the law director to the mail ran. There's nothing more I can add to that. We all know where we at with regards to that.
Do Mr. Moore attorney have any more questions?
So I guess my final question is, it seems through this conversation that we've established that 3D Moore and its principal are not on any SAM's list, and they are not debarred. Are there any reasons left that the committee would hold this up from moving forward, given that we've now cleared up the background issues?
I would like to direct you to Willie Hemmons again, because
You cut out, I'm sorry. Can you say the last part again?
She's directing it to the attorney.
Willie Hemmons to speak because she represents the city.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
In conversations with Mr. Leach, all of those issues were cleared up. Now, prior to that, all the debarment and the SAM's list questions are not affecting the decisions of this committee. I think what the attorney is requesting is what exactly are the prohibitions against 08-21 moving forward. If those are not in play. What are the issues? That's what the attorney wants to know.
Ms. Hemmons,
What are the issues?
Ms. Hemmons,
Yes.
Attorney Stover, if you don't mind.
Here, recognize the attorney.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Am I recognized?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Hemmons, so since the question is directed to you, I guess I'll ask you directly. Are there any reasons why 3D Moore or its principal, Daryl Moore, will be disqualified from performing this work as set forth in Resolution 0821?
I think that we have already articulated the city's position.
You gotta be recognized.
May I be recognized to answer the question?
Here, recognize Cal Irby because.
I think that the question was directed to me.
It will. You can answer it in a few minutes. Just hold up because his hand's been up and I want to respect that. Cal Irby. Irby, you can talk. Mr. Irby, are you there? Oh, there you go. Mr. Irby, you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. I had a phone call kicked in. Okay, my question is, and it's directed to 0221. The distance that you're covering for this parking lot is from where to where? Due to the fact that there's a track and field for the football players. There's another part of a parking lot back there. How far is the distance that you are supposed to be covering? What grade of asphalt are you using, and what is the temperamental repair on and after you do the work for the Civic Center, if you're allowed to do this work?
Well, Ryan, didn't you send us a map?
Yes, I did.
Put the map on the screen, Tracy, Deputy Clerk.
I don't have a copy of that map.
I emailed it to you too, Council Clerk.
Pardon me?
I emailed it to you as well.
But I can't get into my email while I'm in the Zoom. If you could attach it to the chat, if you could put the file into the chat.
Council, can I ask Mr. Leach, since he says he knows the answer to that question, please tell me.
Yes, you may.
There's 75,000 square feet that basically goes from entering one entrance and goes around. The only part that's not being done to the parking lot is the rear corner back behind the goalpost. Because we're making sure that when people come in, that they're driving on asphalt to be vaccinated or to be tested. So the only portion of the parking lot, which is probably about 25%, is the rear part, which would probably be behind the goalpost.
Okay, Mr. Leach, may I address this one too, Mr. Leach? Due to the residents and being involved with this project, due to the fact that it is right behind my house and I've seen graduations and all of that, it's not covering the entire civic center, which we do need to be done because parents do come through the rear of the civic from the Elm Street side to the front. If that's not complete, you're causing a hazard. So the entire lot from Elm Street side to Shaw side needs to be complete. This is not serving the purpose of the interest rights needs of the people.
Council President, can I address that?
Yes, you may.
So the reason for not doing the entire parking lot is trying to stay within a budget. And we are trying to make sure that these funds are for the CARES Act. And so we could probably do the whole civic if we had wanted to, but we have to make sure that we're doing the back portion of the civic because that's where the vaccinations and the testing is being done. So we have to put the money where those are going to be done, not just over the entire civic. And I didn't know how doing the entire parking lot would hold up under HUD scrutiny. Saying, why did you do the whole parking lot? Because you're not using the whole parking lot.
Council, may I speak?
Yes, you can.
Mr. Leach, sir, seeing that the children do have summer football leagues, summer lunch programs, since the children utilize the entire civic center when it is operational. I do believe you are misusing the civic center for just covering the front of the building and less a half of a parking lot. If you do not, you will have the same problem that you had 3 years ago, where a young lady broke her leg in that parking lot, per the Chuck hose. Now, also, you have the fire department that uses the civic center for personal training. Evidently, you have never been over there to see it, but we live over here. So I'm done. Thank you, Council.
So my point to that is you have to understand that these are CARES Act.
You have to be recognized. And you are recognized now, but before you say anything, the problem that I have with all of this, we should not be piecing all this stuff out. We should have one contractor to do it all, not just piece by piece by piece by piece. And make it way more expensive than what it is. I really did talk to 10 contractors and they have a problem walking through piece by piece by piece, and that's why they didn't bid on it because you piece everything out. And normal city have one general contractors, and that's what I'm looking for.
I'll be glad to address that.
Okay.
Yes,
Am I being recognized? Thank you. I just wanted to share one.
No, Ron is being recognized. He can go ahead, because I told him that
Okay.
after I got finished, he can speak, and I want to give him that respect.
Yes. So if any contractor, and it's written, that's why I made sure that I sent everything to you. I told every contractor, you can bid on the entire project as a whole, or you can bid on things individually. So it was up to the contractor if they wanted to bid on it or not. Though some of those chose not to, some chose to. We told them that if you bid on everything, we would like that. And the mayor would take that under advisement, and we may award you the entire project instead of piecemealing it out. So that opportunity was provided to every contractor that bid on the project. And it's in writing.
And yes, it is in writing, and I believe that you had gave everybody a chance, but it wasn't a fair chance, because I talked to a couple contractors, Todd,
That's his opinion.
and I also talked Roman Design.
Yes, I know both of them.
I also talked to Al Houston, and I can go on and on and on, and they feel like they shouldn't have to have piece by piece, and I agree with that, because when you're a contractor, you need the full job, you know, so you can get the full quality, and it would be cheaper instead of piece by piece by piece. And I feel like you should, that's what I'm looking for.
Councilman Vice President Gowdy, I do work real estate. I have my own projects. I've rehabbed over 25 houses in the last couple of years. Knowing construction is what I know and what I do. And believe me, what we've gotten is about the best pricing that we're gonna get for this job.
Council, can I be
It's only 3 people bidded, so it couldn't be the best. Come on now, we got more people out here. It's more qualified, could do the job also. So we need to bid some more people in.
I think if we look at the documentation that I sent over, there's more than 3 people.
Calvin Irby, you have been recognized.
No disrespect to you, Mr. Leach, but as a citizen and as a asphalt contractor at one time, we're asking for the.
You don't know nothing about asphalt.
You know nothing about real estate. Don't disrespect me. Now, again, we are asking for the entire Civic Center to be done. And if it's not enough to do the job, because our kids graduate from Shaw, our kids play. They got to do it to the Civic Center.
Man, he don't.
Entitled to it be done fairly. If it's not, and then the water that drains from the field down the street washes out the back of that anyway. So why we can't get the whole parking lot done?
Asking that question as a member of the as council. If they wanted and said, hey, let's do more, then it can be added. I did what was for what the purpose of it was for. That was to vaccinate the residents of East Cleveland and also do the testing.
Okay, so we're going to definitely move to Councilman Austin because he's waiting.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I don't want to miss the opportunity to remind the group, if you will, this is a part of the CARES Act support, if you will. The CARES Act dollars limit the expenditures of those CARES Act dollars to things that support the, like he said, the vaccination, the testing under the CARES Act. That is why the section that is affected by the testing and vaccination of our residents is the section that is being resurfaced, because that is the section in which people, citizens that live in East Cleveland would come and have those services rendered. And the CARES Act dollars would support the rendering and or coverage of those areas that are affected and or that support the CARES Act and the recovery from the pandemic. That is why this section of the parking lot is the only section being done under these specific dollars. And like the other gentleman, like Mr. Leach said, if we want to spend more dollars to resurface the entire parking lot, maybe that is something that we will do outside of this particular piece of legislation. And that is my thought, and that is my understanding. Feel free to correct me. Thank you very much.
Mayor, I have a question about the service department building. You didn't tell us. Are you there? Mayor, are you there?
Hi, Council Vice President, I'm right here.
Ask you a question about the service department building.
So Council Vice President, before we get into that, I would like to thank Councilman Austin and thank Director Leach. Yes, we are following the COVID CARES Act guidelines as to how to expend these dollars. That's exactly how it was set up through our consultants, OHM, our Building and Housing Department, Director Leach. We would love to do the entire parking lot. Love to do that. However, with the limited funds that we have and following the guidelines, that money is being used for that. That is what is in front of you. If you would like the rest of that parking lot done, we'll be more than willing to have OHM put together the remaining specs, right? Put that out to bid, and then that would come back to you as a separate document, but not part of this document. And don't forget, we are doing feeding per the CARES Act out of the MLK2, and it will be used by seniors. So it's not just kids. So thank you.
Okay, Mayor, and I have a question for you. I'm asking you, could you please tell us why is the service department building getting torn down without coming before council?
The service department building coming down without going to council, that doesn't have to go in front of council to be torn down. May I say this to you, and certainly I wouldn't expect for you to know this, being new to council. That building was condemned 2010, I believe. So that building should have been taken down years ago.
That might be true, but that is a city property and it should also come before council. And you can't just choose and pick which building you're going to shut down or tear down or whatever.
So Council Vice President, I didn't shut it down. I can't remember the director's name back then, Brancatelli. He shut it down. So I didn't shut it down. Brancatelli shut it down.
Shutting down and tearing down, it's two different things. And I just mentioned that, but I'm just letting you know that you should come before council and do it right and get permission, because I cheer contracts and property.
So with all due respect, Council President or Council Vice President, this didn't actually need to come in front of council. I did speak to council about it last year, because this actually began last year. So we have talked about it. It's just now getting to where it can be demolished. As you know, it's not really easy to demolish something straight away. It usually takes different processes, has to be put out to bid. In this case, it was, and those bids have to be reviewed and then awarded. So it's a process. So it just didn't happen yesterday. We talked about this last year. Thank you, Council Vice President.
So let me ask you another question. Now, if you wanted to City Hall, you don't have to come through council, right? Or the fire department, don't have to come through council, right? You just gonna just tear it down.
So things don't happen just like that. Things don't happen like that, Council Vice President. Like I said, we did talk about this last year. It's been maybe 8 months we've been working on getting this to this point, that it can be demolished. And as I alluded to earlier, Brancatelli did condemn those buildings back in 2010, I think it was.
I understand, I agree with you 100%, but you still have to follow the charter laws. You still got to come before council of tearing down city property. And I'm going to move to Cal Irby and we're going to be done.
Council, what did you need with me? I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you raised your hand. So, remarks from any public.
Council Vice President, I'd like to raise my hand. This is Attorney Stover. I had a question pending previously.
Yes, you are recognized.
Thank you, ma'am. So as it relates to resolution 0821, what I'd like to know is, have we resolved the outstanding issues related to that resolution to allow it to move forward? And if not, what are the outstanding issues?
I'm really going to refer you to the law department on that because
there are none as far as the city is
all
concerned.
your questions.
Pardon? There are none as far as the city is concerned.
Great. So can we move forward? Can we move that resolution forward?
President.
Madam Vice Chair. Can I be recognized?
I recognize Madam President.
And I need to advise everyone on this feed that the only people that can move resolutions on this committee are the committee members. Thank you.
Right. Right.
And we definitely going to go with remarks from the public now.
I'm sorry, Council Vice President. The question wasn't answered. Before we move to the public, can we please have the question answered as to whether or not the committee will move resolution 0821 forward, given that there are no outstanding issues related to the qualifications of 3D Moore and its principal, Daryl Moore, per your law director?
I'm going to ask the law director to answer your question because
asked and answered.
Absolutely. If I could be recognized, Council Vice President.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So I would agree with the attorney and I would reiterate her question and her ask as my ask. As the CEO of the city, I do everything in my ability with my staff, the administration, to move this city forward and to put this city in a better place, quality of life for its residents and anyone else to whom the city serves, who utilizes our services, including the MLK. We've done a lot of work here to bring this in front of you. And quite frankly, Council Vice President, as the chair of this committee, the lawyer and her client deserve an answer, or they deserve for this piece of legislation, this resolution to move forward. So I would just reiterate that and ask that you give them an answer and stop deferring it to the law director because she's throwing it to you because you're the one who seems to have some unreadiness. So I'd appreciate an answer to that. And let me apologize to the lawyer and her client and everyone else on the phone. I am sorry. We do not treat potential vendors and people to do business with the city like this. I'm embarrassed by this. Please forgive us. We're going through some hiccups right now. So thank you, Council Vice President. Please, I'd like you to answer that.
I recognize Nate Martin.
The counselor is Miss Stover. Is that's your name?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. There's no barrier for this holding this from going forward, except for the fact that whether the money's there or not. We can't legally pick anyone out or whatever the case may be. So where I'm at and like there's 3 on this committee. Basically, from the dialogue that I listened to for the last hour, I don't see any reason why this can't go forward. Okay.
Thank you.
Except for the money. Now, Mr. Moore wants to get paid like everybody else. So the only thing holding it up, in my mind, to be objective and be fair, is whether the money's there or not. Okay. And I need to say this as we celebrate African American History Month. Our people have gone through so much in 400 years. So somebody may do this or somebody may do that, but we have to make sure that we look out for our people. They get a second and third chance no matter what happens, no matter who it is. So I'm on record. I have no problem with Mr. Moore going forward. I have been tuning into so much lately. I found out something, it's kind of not really related to this, but I was listening to a thing the other day on Billie Holiday. And even though she might have had a few problems, she had an FBI agent, I found that out, it was really revealing to me, who hounded her for years. Hounded her for years because he didn't like her. If you look at our history in this country, we have got to be fair, and we've got to definitely make sure African Americans get some business.
Yeah.
So if the money's there, I'm ready to act on it. Yeah, okay. In terms of the criteria, he meets the criteria, and I hope he does good work. So the only thing that's preventing me from going forward with this is whether the money's there or not. I've spoken. Thank you.
And just because Charles couldn't even answer our question, the mayor had him not to talk, I cannot move forward with this. And that's where I'm at. And I asked Willie Hemmings to be a spokesperson so we can make sure the clarification that it won't fall back on council. That's where I'm at.
Council Vice President, and just
public.
Can I be recognized? I don't know if she heard me. Council Vice President, may I be recognized?
We really gotta go, please make it quick.
I will, I'll do my best to make it quick. Unfortunately, it seems like we're talking around the issue and not answering the questions. You mentioned that Charles was unable to answer your question per the mayor and it was deferred to Willa. Can you tell me what question you're referring to? Because it seems that since then, all outstanding questions have been answered.
We really don't know if we can afford to pay this. This is what the whole question is. Where the money coming from? I've been asking that all the time.
So as a follow-up,
asking my financial director to speak up and would not let him speak at all. Where is this money coming from?
So I guess as a follow-up question, maybe this is direct to the finance director as well. You have most of these resolutions have a dollar value attached to them. So are you also leaving 0921, 10-21? Are those also remaining in committee because we don't know where the money is coming from? Or is it just related to my client, 3D Moore?
Also, they are going to stay in the committee because we don't have the funds. I don't know where the funds coming from. This is why I'm here. I've been asking for funds, where it's coming from.
Can the administration answer those questions?
We are out of time now, and it's
early asked 20 questions.
We are getting ready to go. I've been asking this all evening, and y'all know that. So let's go to
Council Vice President. This is Director Leach, if I can speak.
Go to the remarks of the public.
Good evening.
Before we go to that, Council Vice President, I thought we moved this other legislation forward. I thought this other stuff with Johnson Controls was moved forward.
Mm-mm.
One of them. Only one about the electric machine. Johnson & Johnson, he couldn't even talk. Only the electoral machine is going.
I thought you moved the fight.
No, he didn't.
Okay, okay. I thought you moved them forward. I'm sorry.
More questions and we going to move. We is not gonna piece everything out. We just want a straight out on one contractor.
Council Vice President, this is Charlie Sims with Johnson Controls. May I be recognized?
Yes, you can, Johnson Control.
Thank you. While we have audience with the city, I just wanted to offer an opportunity that if there's any further questions regarding the qualifications, the scope of work, or the post-installation support that Johnson Controls will provide. I just wanted to offer myself to answer any of those questions.
Madam President, do you have any more questions or
I don't have anything. I'm not comfortable with this. I can tell you that. And I think that maybe what's happening here, I know for me, what's happening here is that the council is brought in on the tail end of things. And it's not working because everybody's got more information than us and we have to depend on the paper. And oftentimes, had we been brought to the site when the walkthrough was done to see the presentation or when the bid was open and to see the presentation of what was going to be put in and installed into this civic center, I think that those kinds of activities sometimes make a difference as to whether we stay stagnant or if we're going ahead. And so these are the kinds of things that are not happening, and they're causing us to not be able to make decisions, informed decisions. And I think the council wants to make informed decisions. And to do that, we need to be a part of the information planning from the onset and not being brought on in the end. Thank you.
Council Vice President, this is Director Leach. Can I please be recognized?
100%.
Council Vice President, this is Melvin Leach, Director Leach. Can I please be recognized?
Okay. 1 minute, Mr. Leach, 1 minute.
I would like to make sure that I sent the bid specs to council, and I asked council for contractors to bid on the project. When we had our meeting, when I went over it, I gave council everything. In the bid specs, it tells you when the walkthrough, what was going to be bid, everything is in there.
Right.
So I did involve council.
Recognize the president. Recognize the president.
Mr. Leach, and I'm not picking on any one person or any particular item on this agenda. I'm speaking across the board. People give us stuff, it has no relevance, really. If you don't sit and read this stuff, it does not make any sense, okay? And so in my first year, I had to learn a lot of stuff quickly. And so this year I'm trying to play still catch up. There are some things that, like this particular deal, that the council didn't know was even on the floor, okay, to be bid or anything else until you sent those papers. Okay, you send those papers, but we get a lot of paper. When I say that we need to be involved, I think that what I'm looking for and how I see us functioning is that, and right now the city owes the council a plan, and that plan is supposed to lay out what is going to happen for the year. This council has not received that plan, so it leaves us in a deficit. And so we're always behind and we're always operating in a deficit because there's so many things coming, and when they come, they hit us just like this. That's all I'm saying.
Councilor Martin, you can speak.
What I wanted to say, we're at a standstill here. We have not passed the permanent budget. And we got basically in the next few days, we'll have 30 days, the end of March, to pass it. We need to, I don't want us to slow down progress. I rode past the Civic Center a few days ago and there's big boards in front of the front door where they're breaking the windows out. We need to get the work done. It just seems like we're in an impasse. And basically we look kind of unprofessional and that shouldn't be. So internally, the administration and the council, we've got to come together to do better. If it requires a walkthrough, make sure that the council people are notified, even if we notified to go participate in the walkthrough. Okay, I mean it's these things are very simple and basic. If you call me and say, well, Martin, we're going to do a walkthrough through the Civic Center, I'll take my time to be there. When I get called for anything, I take the time to be there. So we got to cross the T's and dot the I's in order for us to be together, and we're not. So if the president says that we're not getting the communication, and that we need to cogitate on this, elaborate on it, and see how we can correct it. All right, now here we are in the second month of 2021, and we're at an impasse. But we got to change that. We got to. It's all about basically communication and transparency. I think if we communicate better and we're transparent, that means open about everything. I'm gonna make sure that the council sees this. I'm gonna make sure the council sees that. I think that we'll make tremendous progress. But if it's a barrier, say, well, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that, we're going to be at a standstill all of 2021. So I'm reaching out to all of us that we do that.
I'll say what day he said that.
We've got to do that. Okay?
They gotta read.
Councilwoman Gotti, can I make a comment, please?
Councilman Austin, get ready to say it.
Belinda Cow, you are, you could
I'm sorry.
have something that you want to say. Yeah, Ms. Cow, we heard you talking.
I didn't hear.
Okay, so the remarks from the mayor.
Can I make a comment before the end of the meeting, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Otis Mays is here, and Otis Mays. He's going to speak very well.
Number one, it seemed to be a.
Take your mask off.
No, I don't take nothing.
We can't hear you. You're muffled.
You'll be quiet, I can hear it. Because you guys are so discombobulated. Anyway, as I was getting ready to say, any contracts that you enter into, or you're going to enter into, and then once you enter into the contract, it must come before council, and you must discuss it before council. It seemed to be the right hand doesn't know what the left one is doing. No reflection on Mr. Moore Leach. You did not allow him to speak, and I guess he was the one involved in this contract. But my question is this.
You can't hear.
My question is this. Have the Civic Center been completed, the work inside of the Civic Center? To me, it doesn't make sense paving the parking lot if the Civic Center is not operable, or what have you. So that you put the cart before the horse. And secondly, enter into contracts, all contracts that entered into, they must come before council. And council does the authorization. You must, as Martin has, Council Martin has indicated, communication is the key that unlocks all doors. You must communicate. Council can't be over here and administration is over here. Council is the one that does the authorization, and we must remain cognizant of that. Everything that comes through this city, what have you, should come before council or whatever, except the money that you have appropriated for that particular branch of government to operate. If it receives more than $50,000, which is, we are relying upon the state there, because our charter says 25,000. So
2,500.
Whatever. Anyway, so therefore, the council, the charter also indicate that monies that, a contract that you enter into is above what we have in the charter, we rely on the state. So all I'm saying here, I would like to see this council and the administration work hand in hand. Administration, you can, as well as administration. You have to respect the council, and the council needs to respect administration as an authority here. You cannot enter into contracts that is beyond the $50,000 which you indicated must come before council. And less than $50,000, you still bring it before council. You must keep the council informed, and if you want to operate this city, who suffers as a result of it? The citizens suffer as a result of the non-compliances with the council and administration. You have to work together. That's what it's about, cohesiveness, and you can accomplish your mission. But other than that, you cannot.
Thank you. Thank you. We want to thank you for that. At this time, any more the remarks from the mayor? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Council Vice President.
Longer,
So I got the floor. I'd just like to state while we're here on record that the Council President alluded to a number of issues or concerns. I would like to separate the number from the specifics on what we're talking about and what is in front of you tonight, Council Vice President, as the chair of Contracts and Property. The good thing about the Zoom meetings that they are recorded. If you go back to November, we did come in front of you because we had to put the MLK back out to bid for a second time. Not only were you informed and given the date of the walkthrough, you were asked that if you knew of contractors who could provide the work, to kindly encourage them to bid. Years ago, before us, but certainly not before the senior statesman, there was this same relationship. And then years before that, it was this same unfunctioning relationship, which caused a lot of contractors, like a Johnson Controls, to be called out to a meeting like this to see something that he put a lot of time in, working up the bidding, coming to this meeting, and then you basically send it to committee to die, right? You basically send it to committee to die. You don't act on it. I told you, the law director told you, the finance director told you, Melran told you. This in front of you is simply to pass. This is no relation to the budget. Once the budget and appropriations are set, we can execute certain things that we're looking to execute. This doesn't tie into that. This is just merely a step in the process, passing this. So it's not about the money. It's a shame that we've all said that, yet you try to revert back to it. Again, when you look at dotting the I's and crossing the T's, you have all the information in front of you. Whether you read it or not is up to you, right? You need more information, we'll provide it to you. You need help understanding it, we can help you understand it. Unless there's any questions or concerns of me, that would basically conclude my remarks. Thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you all again. Apologies for the city. We are trying to move this city forward. We are trying to work on the quality of life. I'm doing my part to bring this stuff properly in front of City Council. Again, we do our jobs from this side. All we can do is then take it to City Council. This is what we get. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And the reason why we cannot move this forward because we really don't have the money. We got a lot of lawsuits and everything else. I mean,
No, we do have the money, Council Vice President. We have the finance director. We have the finance director on the call. We do have the money. It's not been appropriated, so we have to wait on the appropriations, but we do have the money. So let's not confuse apples and oranges. We have the money. It just hasn't been appropriated, but it's still separate from passing the legislation.
we do not have enough money in the 90-day budget to cover everything, Mayor. This is all I'm saying. And you told Charles not to even say nothing.
I did not tell Charles not to say anything. I asked him, could I answer the question? I didn't tell him he couldn't answer anything. Council Vice President, this thing is being taped. We can rewind the tape.
I need
to rewind the tape. Yes. And I'm not sure why your mic keeps going out.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Can I make I didn't get a chance to make a comment.
Yeah, go. Now move for adjournment. Go ahead, Austin.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I did listen to a few notes. I had to switch phones, but nevertheless, there is a concern that I have because I heard something about us, the council, having not received a plan from the administration. We've not only received a plan, but we've also been briefed on the plan. Some persons have had briefs in the mayor's office on the plan. We had budget hearings to talk about the plan.
Yes,
moving
they have.
forward.
Yes.
So there is, Mayor, I'm good. I got this.
Thank you.
Please. There have been multiple opportunities for the council to have their questions answered. I am on the council. I personally seek the answers to the questions that I have. And I ask that the other members of council also begin to seek the answers to the things that keep them from moving their area of responsibility forward in a responsible manner. I also heard a concern about we don't know where the dollars are. There are 4 counselors on this call right now. And with the 4 of us in agreement that we can move the city forward by approving the permanent appropriations, it ain't a matter of not knowing where the money is. We have $9 million in the bank for the first time in a number of years. Of those dollars that are specific to moving the city forward, we are not limited by the $200,000 or $300,000 that we're talking about on this call tonight. We're not. So to say that you don't know where the money is, that is a falsehood. And what I would like to see is that we look at what we need from the administration for the 10th time, get those documents, and let's move the city forward by approving the permanent appropriations. Speaking highly of the finance director, he wants to be able to look at the dollars that we have that are deficit and resolve those deficits because we have the resources on hand to make those lines whole. Moving forward, we have employees that are almost not going to get paid. We have folks that have recently been hired that are going to be furloughed if we keep on playing around these little political games that we're playing right now, because we have the assets, we have the mindset, and if we've all learned from this last year or two, let's act like it. Let's apply the knowledge that we've gained and make it so that it benefits the health, interests, rights, and needs of our residents. The back and forth, once you have your question or concern resolved, act like it. I got my answer, let's move forward. And that is the way that we do as a consummate professional force that we aspire to be. as far as our residents, I thank you. The guests that we had on this evening, I appreciate you for considering giving up of yourself so that our residents may benefit. And hopefully we can move all these pieces of legislation forward that make sense. And Johnson Controls not only put locks on doors, they also help us with fire prevention, which is necessary to keep our young folks safe. So today, when you look at what we have before us, just think about our children, the young folks that are going to come to these facilities, and we want them to be safe. If you are a city employee, which we all are, we want to be able to go to work with a pass key that says that only authorized personnel has access to this building. So if somebody is yelling in the hallway, that's somebody with a key or somebody has the appropriate level of access. So there is some things that we want to do to recognize where we are in 2021. Let's act like it by approving these things so we can have a better aesthetic of our city, more safety, better health, and more security within the buildings in which we work. That's all I have. Thank you.
Austin, we really want to thank you, Councilor Austin, but last year, 2 years ago, we had over $200,000 for the Civic Center. We don't even know where that money went. And I'm considering of leaving this right in committee because we have a 90-day budget. We cannot spend a dime more, and that's where I'm at.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Gotti. I do 100% respect that. So, but we can do something about that 90-day budget by approving the permanent appropriation. So we have a 365-day document that represents what we want to do as a city, what each department has told us that they want to do as a department to support the residents of their city. Thank you.
This is where we at.
I can't believe you said, can I share it? Thank you very much. That's all I have.
At the time of what's going on, he needs to work with us to approve this budget. He vetoed the budget that we approved.
Because it wasn't the council's plan to do that. It's the mayor's plan that we're approving, not the council's plan. That's all I have. Thank you. I'm trying to.
Council President, you can speak.
I don't have anything else to say. They know what they've done. They know that they overspent the budget by $1 million in January. They know why we're in this situation that we're in. It's no good for people to pretend like they don't know what's going on. I just came here. These activities that you all are coming forward with have been on the table for years. Our streets have been unpaved for years. I am tired. They don't pick up my trash that I pay them to pick up. I am tired of this. This does not make any sense based on the amount of money that comes into the city. It makes no sense for us to live like this. Rats running through a 100-year-old house, eating it up like it's a snack. If you don't live here, you don't know these things and you don't have to suffer through them. That is our problem. That is my issue.
We might get 9 million in the bank, but we have a lot of lawsuits out here. And I would stop saying all that because the overhead with the lawsuit will drown us. And you need to stop saying that. Because the lawyers can't come after us.
All I'm stating are the facts.
We're going to do a temporary. We got a temporary budget that everybody must buy by to adjourn this meeting. Motion to adjourn, and y'all can
move to adjourn contracts and property meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
The time is 7:42.
Okay, thank you.
Motherfucker.